I should have said something sooner. That's the part that keeps me awake. Not what happened in the end, not even the way it ended, but how long I stayed quiet while something watched me. Every night. I noticed it before I understood it, if that makes sense. Small things at first. A feeling. The kind you brush off because you don't want it to mean anything. But it did mean something. It meant I wasn't alone. And by the time I realized that, really realized it, it was already too late to pretend I hadn't seen it move. It started the week I moved into the house. Nothing special about the place, just old. The kind of old where the wood creaks even when there's no wind, and the air smells faintly like dust, no matter how much you clean. I remember joking about it the first night, talking out loud just to hear a voice in the silence. I said something like, "If anything's here, it better help with rent." I even laughed. That's the last time it felt harmless, because that same night, just as I was drifting off, I had the strange sensation that someone, or something, was standing outside my window. Not moving, just there. At first I told myself it was nothing. New place, unfamiliar sounds, brain filling in the gaps. But the feeling came back the next night. Stronger, more specific. I started noticing the angle of it, like whatever was out there wasn't just near the window, but positioned deliberately, watching from a certain spot. I didn't check. I don't know why I didn't check. Maybe because part of me already knew I wouldn't like what I saw. So I stayed in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet stretch thinner and thinner, until I finally passed out from exhaustion. But right before I slept, I could have sworn I heard breathing. Slow, heavy, too deep to be human. By the third night, I started closing the curtains. Not all the way at first, just enough to block the direct view. That's when things changed. Because the feeling didn't go away, it got worse. Like whatever was out there didn't like being shut out. The air in the room felt tighter, warmer. I'd lie there, staring at the fabric, convinced something was standing inches behind it. And once, just once, I saw the curtain shift. Not a breeze, not a subtle sway. A push from the outside. I froze, didn't move, didn't breathe, just waited. The curtain settled again, slowly, like a hand had let go. And then, nothing. No footsteps, no sound of retreat. Just silence that felt heavier than anything I'd ever experienced. I started sleeping with the lights on after that. It didn't help. If anything, it made the room feel exposed, like I'd lit myself up on purpose. I remember sitting on the edge of the bed one night, staring at the window, telling myself I'd finally look. Just get it over with, prove it's nothing. My hand was already reaching for the curtain when I stopped, because I realized something that didn't make sense at the time, if it was just my imagination. Why did I feel like I needed permission to look? Like there was some line I wasn't supposed to cross. That thought alone should have been enough to make me leave. But I didn't. I stayed. And that's when I started hearing it move. Not footsteps, not exactly. More like weight shifting. Slow, deliberate pressure against the ground. Too heavy, too controlled. It circled the outside of the house sometimes. I could track it by the sound alone, moving from one wall to another. Always staying just out of sight, always stopping near the bedroom window the longest. That became the routine, night after night, and I got used to it in a way that still makes me sick to think about. Because once something becomes routine, you stop questioning it. You start adapting. I stopped going near the window entirely. I arranged the room so I never had to look in that direction. I told myself that was control, that I was managing it. But I wasn't. I was avoiding the truth. The first real sign came when I found the marks. They were on the ground outside, just beneath the window. Deep impressions in the dirt, like something had been standing there for a long time. Not footprints exactly. The shape was wrong, longer, narrower, and spaced in a way that didn't match any animal I knew. I crouched down to look closer, my chest tight, my hands shaking more than I wanted to admit. And that's when I noticed how deep they went. This wasn't something light. Whatever made those marks had weight, a lot of it, enough to press into hard ground like it was nothing. I remember looking up at the window, doing the math in my head, trying to imagine the height, and then stopping myself before I finished the thought. That night, I didn't close the curtains. I don't know why. Maybe I was tired of not knowing. Maybe I wanted to prove to myself I wasn't afraid. But I was. I was terrified. I lay there in the dark, eyes locked on the glass, waiting. The hours stretched. Nothing happened at first. And for a moment, I thought maybe it was over. Maybe whatever had been coming was gone. I even felt a flicker of relief. And then I saw it. Not clearly, not all at once. Just a shape interrupting the reflection. Taller than the window frame. Still. Completely still. I couldn't make out details, just the outline. Broad at the shoulders, head slightly forward, wrong proportions. And then, this is the part I keep replaying. It moved its head just enough for the light to catch its eyes. They weren't glowing, not like in stories. They reflected, like an animal's, but higher, much higher, and they were focused directly on me. I couldn't move. My body just locked. Every instinct screamed at me to look away, to hide, to do something. But I didn't. I stared back. And I swear to you, it knew. It knew I could see it, because its posture changed, subtly, like it had been waiting for that exact moment, waiting for me to acknowledge it. The head tilted, slow and deliberate, almost curious. And then it leaned closer to the glass. Not fast, not aggressive, just closer. Enough that I could start to see more than the outline, the length of the snout, the uneven texture of the fur, the shape of the mouth, slightly open, like it was breathing through it. That's when I broke. I turned away, scrambled off the bed, hit the wall trying to find the light switch. When the room flooded with light, I forced myself to look back. The window was empty. Nothing there. No shape. No eyes. Just my reflection, pale and shaking. I stood there for a long time, waiting for it to come back. It didn't. Not that night. But I knew it wasn't gone, because the feeling didn't leave. It stayed, pressed into the room like something invisible, watching from just beyond what I could see. I should have left the next day, packed everything, walked away, never looked back. That would have been the right choice. But I didn't. I told myself it was just one moment, a trick of the light, my mind filling in shapes. I needed it to be that. So I stayed another night, and another, and each time it came back. Sometimes I saw it, sometimes I only felt it, but it was always there, always in the same place, watching, waiting, learning. And slowly, without me realizing it, the distance between us started to close. The last night, it wasn't outside anymore. And that's the part I can't explain, no matter how many times I go over it. I woke up to the same feeling, but wrong, closer, too close. The air felt different, thicker, warmer. I didn't want to open my eyes. I knew something had changed. I knew it before I even moved. But I looked anyway, because that's what I'd been doing the whole time, wasn't it? Looking when I shouldn't. And when I did, the window was empty, the curtains barely moving, the outside quiet. For a second I thought maybe it was over, that maybe I'd imagined everything, and then I heard the breathing. Not outside, not behind the glass, inside the room, right behind me. I didn't turn around right away. That's the truth I hate admitting. I froze there, eyes fixed on the empty window, while my mind tried to explain away something it already understood. The breathing was slow, controlled, close enough that I could feel it touch the back of my neck, warm and damp, like air that had traveled too far through something alive. I remember thinking, absurdly, that if I didn't move, it might lose interest, like a child pretending to sleep, like that had ever worked on anything that meant harm. The sound shifted slightly, not louder, just angled, as if it was adjusting its position to watch me better. That's when the smell hit me. Wet earth, rotting leaves, and something metallic underneath it, faint but unmistakable. It didn't belong inside a house. It didn't belong anywhere near me. My stomach turned, and for a second I thought I might pass out. But I didn't. I stayed right there, caught between instinct and disbelief, trying to decide which one would kill me faster. I don't know what made me finally move. Maybe it was the way the breathing paused. Not stopped, paused. Like it was waiting for something. For me. That silence stretched just long enough to feel intentional, and that's what broke me. I turned my head, slowly at first, then all at once, like ripping off a bandage you already know is going to take skin with it. It was closer than I imagined. So much closer. It stood behind me, not even a full step away from the bed, taller than it had looked through the window. Or maybe it just felt that way now that nothing separated us. Its posture wasn't hunched like an animal's. It was upright, balanced, deliberate. The head tilted slightly, just like before, but now I could see everything the darkness had hidden. The length of the snout, lined with teeth that didn't need to be bared to feel threatening. The fur, coarse, uneven, matted in places like it had pushed through things it shouldn't have. And the eyes. God, the eyes. They weren't just reflecting light anymore. They were holding it, catching it in a way that made them seem deeper than they should have been, like looking into something that didn't end where it was supposed to. And they were locked on me with a focus that felt personal, not curious, not confused, familiar. That's when I realized something that made everything worse. This wasn't the first time it had been inside. The thought didn't come as a guess. It landed fully formed, like a memory I'd been avoiding. All those nights I felt watched, even when the window was empty. The way the air sometimes felt wrong before I even looked. The subtle sounds I couldn't place. It hadn't always been outside. It had just let me believe that. Let me draw a line that made me feel safe. And now it was showing me that line had never existed. I tried to speak. I don't even know what I was going to say. Maybe nothing. Maybe just a sound to prove I still could. But my throat closed up, dry and useless. The only thing that came out was a shallow breath that sounded too loud in the silence. Its ears, small, almost hidden in the fur, shifted at the sound. A reaction, quick, precise, and then it took a step closer. The floor didn't creak under its weight. That's something I keep coming back to. Something that big should have made noise, but it didn't. It moved like it understood the space better than I did, like it had memorized every inch of that room long before I ever noticed it. The only sound was the soft drag of its breathing and the faint brush of something, fur maybe, against the side of the bed. I couldn't back away. There was nowhere to go. The wall was behind me, the bed beneath me, and it, whatever it was, between me and everything else. So I did the only thing I could. I stayed still, completely still, my eyes locked with its, my body rigid, my mind racing through every possible outcome and rejecting all of them, because none of them ended with me walking away. It leaned forward again, slower this time, testing something. The distance between us closed until I could feel the heat of it, radiating off its body in waves. Its snout came level with my face, close enough that I could see the subtle movement of its nostrils as it breathed me in. And I understood then, really understood, that this wasn't random. It wasn't passing through. It was studying me, learning me, like I was something it had been trying to figure out for a long time. My chest tightened, a sharp, desperate pressure that made it hard to breathe. I wanted to look away, to break eye contact, but I couldn't. It felt wrong to do that. Dangerous, like turning my back on something that had already decided I belonged to it. And that's when it happened. Not fast, not violent, just a shift. Its mouth opened a little wider, not enough to lunge, not enough to bite, just enough to show more of its teeth, to let out a slightly deeper breath that carried that same metallic smell. And beneath that, something else, a low sound, not quite a growl, not quite anything I could name. But it vibrated through the air, through me, settling somewhere deep in my chest, like it had a place there. I don't remember deciding to move. I just did. My hand came up between us, slow and shaking, like I was trying to create some kind of barrier. It didn't stop me. That's what haunts me. It didn't react at all as my hand hovered inches from its face. For a second, just one, I thought maybe it would let me, that I could touch it and prove it was real, that this wasn't some nightmare I'd trapped myself in. My fingers brushed its fur. It was warmer than I expected, coarser too, real in a way that shattered any last piece of denial I had left. And the moment I made contact, everything changed. The sound in its chest deepened, sharpened, not loud, but clear. A warning this time. Its head pulled back just slightly, not retreating, just repositioning. And the eyes, those eyes, narrowed in a way that finally, unmistakably, felt like a decision. That's when I understood I'd crossed something, and it wasn't going to let me undo it. I felt it change the second I touched it. Not suddenly, not violently, just enough to know I'd done something I wasn't supposed to. The air tightened. That low sound in its chest sharpened, like a warning I understood too late. I pulled my hand back slowly, every movement careful, like I could undo it if I didn't rush. But it didn't step away. It didn't need to. Its head lowered slightly, eyes never leaving mine. There was no curiosity anymore, no hesitation, just focus, intent. I remember thinking, this is the moment. This is where it decides what I am to it. I tried to slide off the bed, inch by inch, not breaking eye contact. The floor felt miles away. My legs barely worked, and it followed, not with steps, but with presence. Leaning in, closing space without effort. That same heat, that same breath, always right there. Then it lifted one arm, slow, controlled, not rushed, not clumsy. The shape of it, long, wrong, too human in the way it moved, made something in me drop. I didn't wait to see what it would do. I moved. Finally, fully. I twisted off the bed, hit the floor hard, scrambled toward the door without looking back. I almost made it. My hand hit the handle, fingers slipping, heart slamming so loud I couldn't hear anything else. And then I felt it. Not claws, not teeth, just pressure, heavy, firm, on my shoulder, holding me in place, not attacking, not yet, just stopping me. I didn't fight it. That's what scares me now. I didn't even try. The second that weight settled on my shoulder, something in me just gave in. Not completely, not willingly, but enough to stop moving. Enough to understand that whatever this was, It didn't need to chase me. It already had me. My hand stayed on the door handle, fingers barely gripping it. I could feel how close freedom was. Just a turn, just a pull. But I couldn't make my body do it. The pressure on my shoulder increased slightly. Not crushing, just firm enough to guide me. And slowly, almost gently, it pulled me back. I stumbled a step, then another, until my back hit the edge of the bed. It never rushed, never forced. Every movement felt controlled, like it knew exactly how much strength to use, like it had done this before. That thought hit me hard, too hard, and I nearly lost my balance completely. The breathing was right beside my ear now, closer than before, deeper. I shut my eyes for a second, just a second, trying to steady myself. But the darkness made it worse, because I could feel it without seeing it. The heat, the smell, the presence pressing in from behind. When I opened my eyes again, my reflection in the window caught me first, pale, shaking, barely recognizable. And then I saw it behind me. Not fully, just enough. Its head was lowered near my shoulder, angled like it was studying me again. That same slow, deliberate curiosity, but heavier now, possessive. Its hand, if that's even the right word, was still on me, large enough to cover most of my shoulder, the weight of it sinking in like it belonged there. And then it did something I still don't understand. It leaned closer and inhaled, long, deep, like it was memorizing me. A cold wave ran through my body so fast it made my vision blur. My knees almost gave out. I wanted to move, to scream, to do anything, but I just stood there, letting it happen, because some part of me knew resisting now would only make it worse. The sound it made after. It wasn't loud, but it was different, satisfied. That's when I realized the worst part. It hadn't come inside to kill me. It had come inside because it didn't need to wait outside anymore. I don't remember deciding to move again. 1 second I was standing there, letting it breathe me in like I was already something it owned. And the next, something broke inside me. Not courage, not strength, just panic, sharp and ugly enough to override everything else. I twisted hard, slipping out from under its grip. It didn't tighten, didn't claw down to stop me. That's what gave me the space. That's what let me run. This time, I didn't hesitate. The door flew open, slammed against the wall, and I stumbled into the hallway, nearly falling as I caught myself on the frame. My legs barely worked, but fear dragged me forward anyway. I didn't look back. I couldn't. Every instinct screamed that if I saw it again, even for a second, I wouldn't make it any farther. The house felt wrong as I ran through it. Too quiet, too still, like the walls were holding their breath. I expected to hear it behind me, heavy steps, something breaking, something chasing. But there was nothing. Just my own uneven footsteps and the sound of my breathing tearing out of my chest. I reached the front door, yanked it open, and ran outside barefoot, not caring about anything except distance. Cold air hit me hard, shocking, real. For a second, I thought I'd made it, that whatever had been inside wouldn't follow. That was my second mistake. I made it halfway across the yard before I felt it again. Not touching me this time, just there, behind me, closer than it should have been. I slowed without meaning to, my body reacting before my mind could catch up. The same feeling from those first nights, being watched, measured, but stronger now. Direct, focused, like a line pulled tight between us. And even though every part of me knew not to, I turned. It wasn't at the window. It wasn't at the door. It was already in the yard, standing where I had just been seconds ago. perfectly still, watching me. The distance between us meant nothing. I could see it clearly now under the weak outdoor light, taller than I'd let myself believe, its shape unmistakable, its eyes locked onto mine like they had been from the very beginning. And then it did something worse than chasing me. It stepped forward once, and stopped. Like it didn't need to come any closer. Like it already knew I wasn't getting away. I didn't run again. I should have. But something about the way it stopped, the way it just stood there like that. It took whatever I had left. My legs felt hollow, useless, like they didn't belong to me anymore. We just stared at each other. Cold air bit into my skin, but I barely felt it. All I could focus on was the distance between us, and how meaningless it felt. Because it wasn't the space that mattered. It was the connection. That same invisible line I'd felt from the beginning, pulled tight now, unbreakable. It took another step, slow, deliberate, and I flinched like it had already touched me. That's when I understood something I hadn't let myself think before. It could have killed me already, inside the house, at the door, at any moment. But it didn't, because that was never the point. My chest tightened, breath catching as the realization settled in. This wasn't hunting, not the way I understood it. It wasn't chasing me down, forcing me into a corner. It was letting me see, letting me understand. Every night at the window, every step around the house, every moment it stayed just out of reach. It was building something, waiting for something, waiting for me to notice it, to acknowledge it, to look back. And I did. That was the mistake. Its head tilted again, just like the first night. That same slow, almost curious motion, but now it felt final, like a question that had already been answered. The air between us felt heavier with each second, harder to breathe, harder to think. I took a step back. It didn't follow. Another step. Still nothing. But its eyes never left mine. Not for a second. I don't know how long we stood like that. Seconds. Minutes. It felt longer. Long enough for the fear to change into something else. Something colder. Heavier. Acceptance. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't over. It wasn't going to end with me running into the street, or finding help, or locking a door. This had already gone too far. Its mouth opened slightly again, that same quiet breath slipping into the cold air. And then finally, it moved differently. Not toward me, around me. One slow step to the side, never breaking eye contact. Then another, circling, not closing in, just shifting the angle, like it was adjusting how it saw me, how it understood me. My heart started pounding again, harder this time, because I realized what it was doing. It wasn't deciding if it would take me, it was deciding when. And somehow, that felt worse. It moved fast after that. Not a lunge, not a blur, just a sudden shift from stillness into motion, so controlled it didn't even feel real. 1 second it was circling me, measuring, deciding, and the next it closed the distance like it had always been there. Like the space between us had never existed. I didn't even get the chance to react. The impact wasn't violent in the way you'd expect. No claws tearing, no immediate pain. Just force. Overwhelming, undeniable force that drove me backward, my feet slipping out from under me as I hit the ground hard enough to knock the breath out of my chest. The sky spun above me, cold and empty, and then it was gone, replaced by it. On top of me, pinning me down. Its weight crushed the air out of my lungs, its presence swallowing everything else. I tried to move, tried to push it off, but it was like fighting something rooted to the earth itself. My hands pressed against it, felt the coarse fur again, the heat beneath it, and none of it mattered. I couldn't shift it even an inch. Its face lowered toward mine, closer than ever. Close enough that I could see the details I'd missed before. Scars beneath the fur. Subtle, uneven lines like it had survived things it shouldn't have. Its breath washed over me, thick and hot, carrying that same metallic edge, and something worse now. Something fresh. My chest burned, desperate for air that wouldn't come. And still, it didn't bite. Its eyes locked onto mine, unblinking, endless, holding me in place more effectively than its weight ever could. That same feeling returned, stronger than before. Not fear, not panic, something deeper. Like it was reaching into me without touching, pulling something to the surface I couldn't hide. Memories. That's what it felt like. Not mine alone. Something shared, forced open. The nights at the window. The feeling of being watched. Every moment I chose not to look, not to leave, not to act. Every silent acceptance. Every step that led me here. It all flooded in at once, overwhelming, suffocating. And beneath it, something else. Recognition. It made a sound then, low, resonant. Not a growl, not a threat. An answer. Its mouth opened wider, slow and deliberate, and this time there was no hesitation in it. No testing, no waiting. I knew. This was the moment it had been building toward from the very beginning. I tried to turn my head, tried to look away, to break whatever hold it had on me. But I couldn't. My body refused. My eyes stayed locked on its as it leaned closer, closer, until there was nothing else in the world except that presence, that weight, that certainty. And then everything broke. Not in a clean way, not in a way I can fully explain. There was no clear pain, no single moment I can point to and say, that's when it happened. It was like being pulled apart and held together at the same time. Like something inside me was being taken, or replaced, or understood in a way it was never meant to be. The last thing I remember clearly is the sound. Not from it. From me. A voice I didn't recognize. Somewhere between a scream and something lower, something wrong, cutting through the night and then stopping too suddenly. After that, silence. They found the yard empty the next morning. No signs of a struggle, no blood, no tracks leading away. Just the marks beneath the window, pressed deep into the ground, like something had stood there for a long, long time. And one more set. Closer to the house, human, barefoot, facing the trees. I wish I could tell you I don't remember what happened after that it ended there. It didn't. I woke up, not in my bed, not in the house, somewhere colder, darker. The ground beneath me uneven, damp, carrying that same smell I couldn't escape. For a while I didn't move. I couldn't. My body felt wrong, heavy in places it shouldn't be, light in others, like it didn't belong to me anymore. But the worst part wasn't the way I felt. It was what I heard. Breathing, not behind me, not in front of me, all around me, slow, deep, familiar. I forced myself to sit up, every movement stiff, unnatural. The darkness shifted as I moved, shapes forming where there should have been none. Trees, shadows, space that didn't feel empty. And then I saw them, eyes, more than one, watching, the same way it had, waiting. A cold understanding settled over me, heavier than anything I'd felt before. This wasn't an ending. It was a continuation. A pattern I had stepped into without realizing it, or worse, one I had been led into, piece by piece, night after night, until there was no turning back. I tried to stand. My legs held, but not the way they used to. The balance felt different, The weight shifted wrong, and when I lifted my hand to steady myself against a nearby tree, I froze. It wasn't my hand. Not anymore. I don't know how long I stayed there after that. Minutes, hours, long enough for the panic to fade into something quieter, something colder, because there was no fixing it, no undoing what had been done, only understanding it, only accepting it. The sounds around me changed slowly. The breathing blended with the wind. The distant movement through the trees started to make sense in a way it never had before. Patterns, paths, awareness. And beneath all of it, that same connection, stronger now, clear. I turned my head without thinking, and my body followed too easily, too smoothly, and my eyes landed on something in the distance. A shape, small, still, at the edge of the trees, watching. For a second, something inside me resisted, something human, weak, fading, but still there. It tried to push back, to reject what I was seeing, what I was becoming. But it didn't last, because I understood now what it had been doing all along. Watching, waiting, learning, just like I was. My head tilted slightly, mirroring a motion I knew too well. And without deciding to, I took a step forward, then stopped. Not because I couldn't move, but because I didn't need to. Not yet.